Hello students, welcome back to the third segment of the first chapter of English Alive, your literature book. In our previous video, we knew that how was the new teacher, how her activities were with the children, and now we will study further from first paragraph of page number 13. Mrs. Reeves, there has been progress, Miss Orville had said. On Monday, young Bruce's penmanship was comparable to a chicken's, if a chicken could write. Today, I was pleased to award him an A. And he was praising one of her student, Bruce's. She was talking to her mother, and she was saying that there has been progress with the study pattern of Bruce's, because his handwriting was not so good when she had joined the class. But after a couple of days, it is improving. Now he is not writing as a chicken's scrawl. And that's why Miss Orville, the teacher, had given him an A grade for his handwriting. I know who she is, Mrs. Reeves remarked later. Remember when those old ramshackle buildings were torn down last year? Miss Orville was one of the tenants. She lived there for ages and refused to buzz, sitting in a rocker on the sidewalk, surrounded by furniture and plants. Her picture was in the papers. Elderly retired school teacher. They found a furnished room for her. Poor thing, evicted like that. I remember she couldn't keep any of the plants. And when Miss Orville was gone, now Mrs. Reeves were talking to another mothers, and she was saying that now I remember where I had seen Miss Orville. And she was telling to another ladies present there that you remember last year when a ramshackle building, a very old building, was being evicted because it had to be torn down, and Miss Orville was one of the tenants, one of the residents. Miss Orville used to stay there in that building. She lived there for ages, and that's why she had lots of memories with that building, and that's why she didn't want to evacuate the building, didn't want to leave the building. And that's why she refused to buzz. She refused to shift from that building, and she was sitting in a rocker, in a rock chair on a sidewalk, surrounded by lots of furniture and plants. Later on, the government shifted her to a well-furnished room, but since the new room was not so big, not too big to keep all the plants and all the furnitures, that's why she has had to leave the plants for another person. On the way home, That day, Roger asked his mother, "What does eviction mean?" It is when somebody is forced by law to vacate an apartment. And on that day, on the very day when Roger was returning home with his mother, he asked his mother, "Mom, what does eviction mean? इसका मतलब क्या होता है?" And her mother had replied him, "It is when somebody is forced by law to vacate an apartment. It is eviction is what when someone is forcefully shifted to some another place." At the door to their apartment building, Roger pointed at a corner of the entryway. "That's where the cat used to sleep. Remember? I wonder if it was evicted too." And when Roger and his mother reached their home, he pointed out at a place and told her mother that, "Mom, you remember? This is the place where the cat used to sleep. But now she is not here anymore. I wonder if it was also evicted." I am surprised. I am eager to know that the cat is also evicted from this place. Soon it was Friday. Miss Orville told the class, "I am happy to inform you that Miss Wilson will be back on Monday. This afternoon will be my final session with you. Not that discipline will relax, but I might read you a story." Only a few hours of the terrible reign of Miss Orville were left to endure. A certain spirit of defiance crept into the room. At lunch, the third grade talked of nothing except how to get even with Miss Orville. And slowly the week went on, passed on, and it was Friday when Miss Orville, the substitute teacher, announced the third grade that it is my last lecture, it is my last session, and from Monday onwards, your teacher, Miss Wilson, will be here. She will be taking classes. Okay? And today, I will not just relax with discipline, but I will also tell you a story. And then students were quite happy because they had not because their discipline was about to end, about to come to an end point. It was lasting because their hard taskmaster, their tough teacher is going. And that's why a certain spirit of defense crept into the room. And since the students were now aware about the removal of their teacher, and that's why a certain mentality of indiscipline crept into the room. At lunch, third grade was talking about nothing but how to take revenge of their last week. "We could rip off all the toppy leaves from her old plant," a girl suggested. "We don't want to do that," Roger said. "Let's call it quits." Not understanding why he objected, but no one listened to him. And while having lunch, all the students of third grade were talking to get even with Miss Orville. Meanwhile, one student, one girl, said that we could rip off all the toppy leaves from the plant which Miss Orville had installed on the sill of the window in the classroom. And then Roger had objected it. He had told that no, we shouldn't do that. We don't want to do that. Let's call it quits. Let's end this dispute. We should not take revenge from our teacher. He didn't know actually why he objected, but finally no one from his class listened to him. After lunch, Miss Orville opened the Fred volume of Treasure Island. You must know the tale of young Jim Hawkins and Long John Silver. No, I don't, said Tommy Miller. We don't, some voices jeered. And after lunch, when classes resumed, Miss Orville came into the classroom and asked about a story, Treasure Island, and two characters of that story, young Jim Hawkins and Long John Silver. And then Tommy Miller said that no, I don't know about them. And soon, whole of the classroom was enchanting the same thing. We do not know, we do not know, we do not know. Miss Orville lowered the book. No, children, you must not do this. To attend school is a privilege you must not mock. Thousands of children in the world are denied the gift of schooling. It is not enough any longer to accept a gift and make no return for it. Not with the world in the shape it is in. If I have been severe with you this past week, it was for your benefit. The world needs good citizens. If I have helped one of you to grow a fraction of an inch, if just one of you, her voice flattered. She had just noticed the torn and bare stems of her plant. Miss Orville said after a moment. And when children started chanting, no I don't, no we do not, no we do not know about the very characters, Long John Silver and young Hawkins, Miss Orville lowered the book and told to the class that you must not do this because getting at a school, getting study is a privilege. Millions of kids, millions of children don't have this privilege. Their parents are poor. They don't have the facility to go to a school and study over there. And she said, if I have been severe with you this past week, it was for your benefit. She said that if I had been tough to you, it was for your benefit. The world needs good citizens. The world needs good people. The society needs good people. And if I have helped one of you to grow a fraction of inch, अगर मैंने तुम में से किसी एक की भी मदद की हो कि तुम इवन 1 इंच के छोटे से हिस्से पे भी अगर तुम ग्रो कर सके हो तो, and her voice flattered, और फिर उनकी आवाज वहां पे थोड़ी भरभरा गई, रुक गई, because she had just noticed the torn and bare stems of her plant. Why she stopped there? Because she had just noticed, she had just saw the pot, and she found that all leaves have been torn and it was looking just bare stems, just bare small branches of the plant. After taking a short pause, stopping for a moment, she started again. To be truly educated is to be civilized. Here you see the opposite, violence and destruction. She turned and faced the class. Whoever is responsible, I ask you only to be sorry, she said, and returned to her desk. And then she said that to be educated just doesn't mean to be knowledgeable. It's also mean that you should be civilized. But in the classroom, we are seeing just opposite. Here, students are being violent and destructive. They are not following the rules and the discipline of the class. They are violent and they are also destructive, as the students had torn the leaves of her plant. And then she said, whoever is responsible for this activity to tear the plants and all, I just want him to be sorry, or her, whoever is responsible, I want you to be sorry. At the close of class that afternoon, there was no forming of lines as all the children ran out. Only Rosa Clark stayed behind. Miss Orville was emptying the desk of her possessions. These are yours, I believe, she said to Rosa. In her hands were the water pistol, the baseball cards, and the spool of string. And when the final bell rang, all students ran out from the class. That day there was no discipline, there was no there was no forming of line, of queue that day. All students ran out of the class. Only one student stayed behind. That was Rosa Clark. He reached to the desk of the teacher and stand there. Miss Orville looked at him and she remembered that she had seized toys of this kid. So she returned all the toys, including water pistol, the baseball cards, and spool of strings to him. She returned everything, all these toys to him. Rosa stuffed them in his coat pocket. He kept all his toys in his pocket, but still he was standing there. And then Miss Orville asked, "Yes?" Roger stood back, lifted his head, and spelled flower, Flower. He looked at Miss Orville's brimming eyes, castle, Castle. Then he walked from the room. And when Miss Orville found that still the boy is standing there, she asked him, "Okay, what's more? Why you are standing there?" "Yes." And then Roger lifted his head and spelled flower, Flower, and castle, Castle, while he was looking into his brimming eyes, her brimming eyes, her teary eyes. Her eyes were full of tears. And then Rosa went away from the room. Here the story ends. this chapter ends here. Dear students, these lines, this chapter gives us a moral as well. It says that when your teacher is being tough on you, when he says to follow discipline, it doesn't mean he wants or she wants to punish you always, or she wants to beat you always. Your teacher does it for your benefit. They want to make you a good citizen, a good man, a good woman, and all. It also says that getting facility of schooling is not easy task, because millions of millions of kids, millions of children don't have that facility. Their parents are not capable to provide them that facility, but you have this facility. Your parents are capable to send you school and bear all the expenses. So please do not mock it. Do not waste your time. Do not waste the money, and be a good citizen. If you learn just one thing from each of your period, each of your lecture, it means at least 6 things you will know every day. That will make a huge impact on your life. That will make a big impact on your life. Please do that. Thank you very much.